Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. If you will, like, share, comment on the post, and then if you are able and would like, Ruth chapter 1, verse number 7. As you're turning there, if you would like, share, or comment on the post, I would appreciate it. And then beginning in verse 7 of chapter 1 says, So she, Naomi, set out from the place where she was with her two daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. So they've set off, going back home. Again, Naomi has heard that the famine is over. There's food there, so she's going home. And her daughter-in-laws are going with her. Somewhere on the journey, Naomi said to her two daughter-in-laws, Go, return each of you to our mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. You've been good to me. You've been good to my sons. Now I pray you'll go home and that God will be good to you. The Lord grant that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept, and they said to her, No, we will return with you to your people. But Naomi said, Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Have I yet sons in my womb, that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, even if I should have a husband this night, and should bear sons, would you therefore wait till they were grown? Would you therefore refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, for it is exceedingly bitter to me for your sake that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. These verses are challenging because they're not that difficult to understand. The story's pretty straightforward. Naomi starts home. Again, we've already learned that she finds out the famine is over. There's food back in the promised land, and she wants to go home. And her daughter-in-laws, who both of them, their husbands, Naomi's sons, have passed away, they're going to go with her. And again, somewhere on the way, Naomi says, No, y'all go home. You need to go back. You need to get a husband, get a home, settle down, have children, and enjoy your life, and let me go on back home to my land. And both of these ladies reject that idea. They want to stay with her. But she says, Nope, you need to go on back. Why would you go with me? I don't have any more children. I don't have any prospects of children. And even if I don't have a husband, and even if I get one today, by the time I have children, by the time they grow up, you're not going to wait on them to be old enough to marry. So that's not happening. So go on back home and live your life. And these verses, there's all kinds of things that, and I'm just going to touch on them kind of briefly, people bring up about these verses. One of them is they discuss, some writers will discuss how Naomi still doesn't get it. She still doesn't understand trusting God. That her idea is that what these two women need is a husband. And these verses make the women's livers unhappy, and so that's just one of the ways that people go at these verses. Others take this same position, this same part of the story, and point out that Naomi was making a really bad choice by sending them back to Moab. That by taking them with her and going back to the promised land, that they would have an opportunity to hear of the God of Israel and perhaps come to know him. And by sending them back home, she was effectively blocking any chance they would have of learning of the God of Israel. There's discussion about and we'll see in a moment that or tomorrow, I guess, Orpah decides to go back home. She does go back to Moab, and people have been very critical of her for that decision, for abandoning her mother-in-law, and there are comparisons made to those who reject Christ in what Orpah chooses to do. And there's some other things that people do a lot of things with these verses, but I would choose instead to focus on this aspect of the story, which I think is really, I think if you read the whole book and you think about it, this I think is the interpretation, the understanding here, the point that is being made, I guess is what I'm after, of the whole book for that matter. This is not a book about Orpah. This isn't a book about any of these others. This is a book about Ruth and her love and her devotion, her her loyalty, all those. That's the primary feature, I think, the primary emphasis in this book. And again, I have read some who just really just throw Naomi under the bus for trying to get them to go back home and not come to Israel. Others who are really harsh on Orpah for not having the same allegiance that Ruth did. And I mean, you can go all kinds of ways with it, but again, I think the real story here again is the love that Naomi has for these ladies, that she wants what's best for them. Even though, again, it would probably be better for Naomi. It'd be easier for Naomi. Again, right now, we don't know what's going to happen. She may get back and she may find a husband. She may get back and, have children. Who knows what may happen? But as far as Naomi goes, she's going back home with nothing, to nothing. And so to have these two ladies with her to help her, who are obviously have been good to her, would be good for her. But she's looking out for, I think, the best of these women. Then again, Orpah, I don't think we can throw her under the bus for going home. That was the time they lived in. That was the thing to do. Why she, her husband is dead. Her connection to Naomi is effectively ended. Her future, any what she would consider to be real hope, as far as she knew, would have been to stay in Moab with her people. Ruth, again, the real center, the object of the story, again, shows us loyalty and love and allegiance and of putting others first, even before her own. Ruth, we know that in the long run she was better off by going, but the short term, the appearances would be she'd be better off go home too. But she chooses to be loyal to Naomi. And again, what a lesson again for you and I today, of loyalty, of love, of standing by those who matter to us. Unfortunately, we live in a world, I think about it, gracious, it's probably at least 50 years old now. An old song from at least the early 70s, if not the late 60s, maybe even before that, that said, if you got no more money, honey, I got no more time. And I know that so many in the world, that's the way they are. They'll be your friend. They will stick by you as long as they can get something in return. Let's not be that kind. I don't think that's where God wants us to be. And I don't even know for certain that's the whole message of what's going on here, but it's what stuck in my head as I read this, that we would be good examples, that we would show Christian love, that we would be faithful friends, supporters. The fancy King James word is that we edify, that we build up others. Let's be known for that kind of being that kind of friend, that kind of person, one that doesn't walk out. And I'll leave you with this thought. Somebody, and I don't know who to give credit to, made this statement. A real friend is one that walks in when everyone else walks out. Let's be that kind of friend. Let's be that kind of follower of Christ that walks in when everyone else walks out. Have a good one. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.